Seasonality is really central to everything we do at OmVed, from the kitchen garden to the kitchen itself to the cultural program we have on throughout the year. It's autumn right now and the leaves are turning, and it can be quite a sad time, but it's also a time of harvest. So today we've been harvesting these uti squash, which will end up in our kitchen. Harvesting can feel like a time of ending. Autumn's also a time of beginnings. It's actually a really busy time here at OmVed. It's a time of year where we basically turn into squirrels here. We start saving all our seed to stock this garden for the following year, and also to provide our lovely network of seed savers all across the country. It's also time to take a breath. It's time to thank and nurture the soil. We do that here at OmVed by putting down green manures, which are basically like giving the soil a blanket for the winter. Things like red clover, mustard greens, and these are things that fix nitrogen, provide soil structure, and get the soil ready for everything you want to plant the following year. On top of that, it's also a time to enjoy yourself and enjoy the bounty of what you've harvested that year. And today we're going to be enjoying eating this uti squash.
Autumn for me is a time where we can slow things down after a hectic summer, and look back at what we've achieved, but also look at all of the harvest and abundance that we still have from the garden. As you can see, there's so many amazing, colourful vegetables which have been sun-kissed and now just picked. So they're all colourful and amazing flavours, which are packed with amazing vitamins. And we want to pack this in jars so we can have them throughout the winter. Autumn is a time for preservation. We do anything from vinegars to dehydrating vegetables into powders, leaves, pickles, lactoferment. But we love making our vinegars here. So apple cider vinegar, grape vinegar, we have kombucha, we make great molasses, and we're left with the skin and the pulp. So we dehydrate it and make fruit leather, which we'll be using next year with our cheeses or in some desserts. And so today I'm gonna get creative with this pumpkin squash, and I'm just gonna lacto-ferment this with lots of herbs. Pick some nettles, some fennel, because we still have some fennel flowers and heads, and we'll see what we get.
My role is to map out the ecology of the garden and translate that into something that's meaningful for us to all use. For me as an ecologist, autumn is a time of change. It's really dynamic because winter's coming and the wildlife need to seek shelter and fatten up and prepare for the winter. I've just thrown in Joe's pumpkins from the garden, and they've gone into our engine rooms. So they've gone into our composters and they're getting worked by little engines, and those are our decomposters, our detritivores. So those are the earthworms, the wood lice, all the insects, which will break down our organic matter and turn it into usable nutrients for the rest of the garden. Something that's really important in that process as well is the fungi, because the fungi send out these mycelium threads, these white filament-like structures throughout the organic matter, send out enzymes which breaks down the organic matter and turns it into usable nutrients. Fungi, I think, is really overlooked in ecological surveys and biodiversity assessments. So something I'm doing is, after it rains, coming into the garden and mapping out the mushroom bodies that we see. If you want to encourage fungal diversity in your garden, mushrooms really like decaying matter, so that's log piles, leaves, branches. Don't clear it in the garden, put it to one side, and that will encourage fungi to grow and encourage fungal diversity.
My name is Sol. I curate and coordinate some of our cultural program here at OmVed. And exactly 1 year ago, we were invited to participate at Chelsea Flower Show. So we took a seat as a starting point to explore everything we do at OmVed. That tiny seat idea gave fruit to this pavilion, which was conceived to be reused as a new space for education, inspiration and reflection by the pond. This autumn, as temperatures get a bit colder, we will be slowing down our activities a bit. We would still be running our gardening volunteer sessions and poetry workshops. As for the pavilion, we will be using the quiet months to take down this first display, compost it in our minds, and reflect on how the next chapter will look.